We are live. Welcome to my video. This is going to be my thoughts on Andor Season 2, Episode 4, Ever Been to Ghorman. Now, the episode, I believe, is rated TV 14. Certainly this video will be. Like all other videos I've done on the show, absolutely loved this episode. There will be spoilers for the episode and everything Star Wars leading up to it. Let's dive right in. So, yeah, I think they're doing a really good job making it work with, this is the second time that we've jumped in this season. I mean, very first episode of the season, 1 year after the events of the Season 1 finale. This episode, 1 year since the events of the end of Episode 3 of this season. And yeah, there's just enough that we get, okay, so in between, in the year, Bix and Cass have been, on-off, on mission, sometimes living in this place, to the point where Bix is like, can we leave stuff here? Do we have to start over every single time? Cass killed a young Imperial soldier because he saw Bix's face, it's just barely enough. And, personally, I wasn't, like, completely lost. And, yeah, we are seeing how gradually, things are getting to where they were at the start of Rogue One. Let's see, she's still having the nightmares. Dr. Gorst. And the thing about, Cassian said he saw your faces. Which, wonderfully done, because that's how dreams work sometimes. So Dr. Gorst tortured him because Cassian told Dr. Gorst that the kids saw their faces. No, clearly this is the kid that Cassian killed. And the soldier, the soldier that Cassian killed, and it's really getting to her, and he's like, I wish I could say that it disappears, but I'd be lying. But in time it does fade. Sometimes from the bottom up, which is a very useful way to hide that Anthony Daniels isn't actually wearing the legs of the C-3PO costume in that shot. But let's see. And yeah, she straight up, she's got the gun out, and he's like, Cass has to calm her back down. It's just, she has PTSD. We saw this already, but the fact that I really appreciate them noting, because, PTSD, if it goes untreated, is not going to go away, and it might actually get worse. And there are countless stories of people who have PTSD, and suddenly they have a gun and they think that they're in danger, and it's dangerous for them and others sometimes. So really appreciate the show acknowledging that. And I am genuinely worried about Bix, because I figure Cass is gonna take the mission. He says, I didn't say yes. And you don't know that Bix will be okay. And I don't think Luthen fully believes what he's saying there. I think he's saying what he believes is going to get the mission accomplished. I'm not saying he doesn't care about Bix, but, he doesn't even take full care of himself. That's often the first step to taking care of others, is to love yourself and take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. And we already know, he's basically, he had that amazing monologue near the end of Season 1. He is not expecting this to work out for him. He's expecting it to serve the cause. And, one can understand. It's, again, these wonderful gray, in the black and white that some of the way Star Wars had, although there was some gray even in Empire Strikes Back. I think that more or less covered. Yeah, just them trying to for some normalcy. This thing of like, I can't sleep, you can't shop, and fantastic work on the little like convenience store. Like there's like dessert stuff and like cartons of, I guess, milk or something like that. Just so much, and the the little creature up in the corner, and yeah, amazing. It really feels, yeah, it's very authentic. It feels real. It feels like you could walk in and shop there. Let's see, and yeah, I like how they are kind of. There's a little bit of old married couple thing going on, like, yeah, I think we'll be leaving now, and she's like, oh no, we're not. My husband wants 2 peppers, and he's like, you're doing this to me? We're actually going there, and the you're a better cook than I am. Oh, I'm not walking into that trap, just, yeah, wonderful little, yeah. They've been together for a year now in like close proximity. Yeah, this is very credible because they didn't talk like that before. When there would be long periods of time without them seeing each other at all. Let's see. I think that might just about cover the Andor of Andor. Yeah, let's see. So yeah, I'll briefly finish off Luthen. So great with him meeting Lonnie again, and Lonnie, grabbing the gun because, like, yeah, I mean, maybe it's Luthen, maybe it's not. Maybe it's Maybelline, we don't know. And, yeah, the thing about, 3 months. So, well, you told me to be sure. That was then. This is now. Nobody knows what tomorrow will be. And, yeah, the thing about, okay, I'm sure she really is, she's not Axis, she's Ghorman. And she's dealing with Ghorman. And yeah, like, they did actually manage to keep that a secret. That is... this is such a realistic and true to history depiction of this kind of spycraft that, yeah, sometimes a while will pass with no one finding out, and then somebody says something, and, yeah. Yeah, and Lonnie, saving the other 2 with, we have too many, many of us, some of us, I have too many, we need to do something about all the people we have, and, I think that does pretty well cover. Yeah, once the guy in charge, Partaz or something, once he's like, see, somebody here still remembers what we do here. I just want there to be an outtake where one of them goes, teacher's pet. Right, and I like the thing with, you're very alert. That's the job. Yeah. I think that might be... When Dedra, when the guy said, I got this job because I don't seek glory, I half expected Dedra to be like, and then you'll have none. Yeah, not an awful lot of Dedra in this. I did quite like the, her and Cyril, and it's this, are you sure that's safe? And he's like, we're on the clock here. I appreciate you wanting to be sure, but this is, and, yeah, this thing of she's not going to take it to the supervisor just yet. And, yeah, so Cyril and the Ghorman front and this whole thing, yeah, I thought they did a really great job of show. Oh, right, Mon. I'll briefly talk Mon and then finish off with Cyril and the Ghorman front. So sad, but, we knew this was going to happen. Yeah, we really are seeing, democracy failing. to thunderous applause. You know, they're all like, I don't know, are we really gonna help those criminals? And that's how fascism works. That's this whole, you know, the moment that you've branded someone as undesirable, they start to lose support because everybody who could help them gradually becomes, you know, that's how fascism wins, as everyone who could help gradually becomes too worried that they'll be dragged down with. And you know, I think at least one of them outright said, well, I mean, if we do this, I'm not going to be able to help with this other thing because I'm going to lose credibility. You know, they think that they're keeping their powder dry, but they're actually losing the battle for democracy. Yeah, great close-up on Mon when one of them says, no, I'm not going to be able to do this. Yeah, Cyril, I thought they did a really great job. You know, this is the first time we really spent time on the ground of Ghorman. We'd only been told about them before. And I like the, you know, Cyril, like the guy outside is like watching him when he thinks Cyril isn't going to say, which, like, dude, he's got mirrors, you know, is like, I don't know if you've heard, but mirrors are more fun than television. So you're going to want to not watch him when he's got a mirror in front of him. And we see the several spiders, and later it's I'm not buying another spider, you know. Yeah. And the I think, yeah, I quite liked, you know, I appreciate that they let the actual audio sit, because, like, I think the conversation between him and Idra is his mom is like 4 minutes or something total, you know, but during a lot of that we're seeing him prepare in the morning, leave the home, go into the office, sit down, and then it like catches up visually also. Very nicely done there. And this boomer thing, which again, love boomers. I am firmly in the change OK boomer to OK capitalist camp. I want to say it was that dang dad who pointed that out, that we should all make that change. But yeah, this thing of like, I can't see you, and he's like, have you tried turning it? It doesn't help. Have you tried turning it in the other direction? Yeah. As someone who sometimes performs IT support for at least one boomer, yeah, sometimes that happens. And the thing with, like, no, you know what, never mind, I'll just picture you in my head, you know, just, yeah. And I like that even the Ghorman front are like, that mom is intense. But yeah, did not expect Cyril to Dedra must really have trained him over the year, 2 years, maybe, because he's making a really good spy. He did not used to be good at hiding his intentions, you know, so, yeah. But yeah, very clever, you know, the supervisor being, you know, he's like, they're listening in on his calls, so when he says this stuff that's like sympathetic to their plight, they think we could bring him in, and that's, yeah, you know, this is how he and Dedra really is able to, you know, there was that thing about, that was what they said, you know, she said, you need an insurgency that you can count on. Yeah, I really appreciate the detail about, you know, they're the monument, Shadow, and, you know, is it an armory? We're running out of, you know, we don't have enough to go on, but we're running out of answers that are not upsetting. And yeah, the discussion, I suppose just in case I shouldn't act it out, but I mean, we agree, right? When the guy like puts his hand on his arm based on the reaction, that was like the Ghorman equivalent of flipping the bird, right? Because like that did not seem to just be like, I have spoken or something. That just, yeah. Let's see, and yeah, dude makes a really compelling point, and the guy in charge, yeah, you know, he's basically trying to make sure people don't get like careless, you know, like it's one thing to believe these things, like he's working on, you know, leading the Ghorman front. He's trying to make sure that civilians don't start doing something really destructive. You know, it's fine for them to be protesting, but let's, you know, if they go much beyond that, that's gonna be a problem. He wants the Ghorman front to be dealing with it, so he has to calm people down, and he's running out of lies. You know, he can only distract people for so long. And yeah, you know, maybe Cyril will be able to provide some information. Let's see. Yeah, the fact that, yeah, his mom is confident, you know, this is a demotion. You are so naive, you know, that woman, you know, why did you let her go? And, you know, she can't imagine that her son's a spy, which is part of why he's such a perfect spy, because, like, you know, like, the Ghorman front are like, listen, we heard his conversations with his mom, and she thinks that he's just, like, nothing, so there's no way he's effectively lying to her week after week on these calls, like, no way, you know, so that's, yeah, I think that might just about cover. Yeah, really, really excited to see what happens next, because Andor and Cyril might spot each other on Ghorman, so that's going to be a thing. Yeah. Yeah, it was also really great when, you know, Cyril, yeah, he set up the little, what do y'all call those? Dental floss, I think, is the American term for it. Yeah, Danish here. Do not speak English outside of recording these videos, so here we are. Dental floss, you know, to make sure, because, like, you don't notice just opening the door, but he's gonna check for it, you know. But yeah, you know, he goes out and is like, I forgot my notes. I have a presentation tomorrow morning. Would it be okay if I went and got, you know, like, at that point, like, the guy is like, you know, am I really gonna say no to this? Like, am I gonna be just, like, that much of a jerk? Like, what am I, a conservative? Like, okay, let's, you know, I'm joking, obviously. He's a fascist, obviously. He's conservative. And I'm not saying all conservatives are fascists, but all fascists are conservative, by definition. Let's see. I think that might more or less cover. But yeah, you know, like some very serious issues raised at this public meeting, you know. Our own citizens, even children, are now being deported to El Salvador. You know, the judges are being arrested. This is not good. And, you know, yeah, I think it was Luthen to Lonnie. He's like, you know, so about Signal, and Lonnie's like, yeah, I saw that. That was pretty careless of them. I don't think Hexeth is really cut out for this kind of thing. And the emojis just seemed to not really appreciate the gravity of what they were actually discussing.